Hey guys, it's West here, back with another episode of From the Crumbs on the Crushed Cookie account. And we have made quite a bit of progress in the past few weeks because I had realized that it had been quite a while since I uploaded one of these update videos dedicated specifically to the account and not just the stream video. So I thought I'd go ahead and talk about some of the things I've been learning in Raid and some of the progress I've been making in the past few weeks. So, for those of you who haven't been following in the streams, I have been raiding a lot. I recently obtained Ghetto Sith Lord's account. He's a wonderful viewer on the Twitch, in my Twitch community, who also watches some of these videos, and he was going to be absent from the game for an extended period of time, so he's allowing me to log into his account and tend to whatever his account needs and farm for him, adjust units however I please. So I've been using his account to carry me through raids. It's my selfish way of helping his account out. However, he's getting some grinds in the process. So anyways, I've been getting some grinds for some units. I've been learning a lot more about raids by experimenting with his units, since he has pretty much every raid unit you could want in a core team built already. So he has enough units for 2 raid teams, so that's why he has a 2-team raid carry we can do. We can do R4 with 100% success rate and R5 with a 85% success rate, so we've been doing a lot of R4. R4 is also twice as fast. And I've been getting some grinds for some of my core units. So let's just take a look at some of my units that I've been using. I have a Darien built. The accuracy is higher than I intended, but I wanted to give him high defense, high HP, so more than 200% defense, and about 150% increased HP on him. So he's built defense, HP, defense, with, of course, HP, defense, and then resistance subs. I have a lot of accuracy as well, which helps for landing the attack break and the defense break, which is nice, which is why Darien is really good, the 100% chance of landing that. Although there is a little bit of redundancy with the Fire Panda, who is another unit I use in raids. I'm very happy with my Fire Panda. His defense is as high as I would like it to be. He's on defense, HP, defense as well. His subs could definitely be better, but with his great base defense, his amazing base defense, I've been afforded the ability to put more emphasis on things like resistance, things on HP. He is also a secondary healer for my team. Now his heal doesn't have huge uptime because I don't have him skilled up at all, but just having him not being resisted is really nice sometimes when you could land that Panda Supremacy, which applies a bunch of useful debuffs, as well as him landing or him getting off that second skill, which is going to give a backup heal for my team. So that extra resistance helps him do his stuff better, especially since HP and defense are the only thing he really required anyways, so I was able to give him a little bit of accuracy and resistance as well. He does pretty okay damage too on a defense break. He can do like 3,000 a hit or something, which I know isn't a lot, but it adds up over time. Another unit that I like to use is Miang. Here's my Miang. 21k, about almost 22k HP, 1600 attack, so almost 1700, and then almost 1000 defense. So her stats are okay. She is in the back line, of course, so her stats don't have to be as high. And then her speed is right up there, almost 200 speed, with a little bit of accuracy and a big emphasis on resistance since she is a secondary cleanser. She has like 1 enchant and 1 grind, so you can see she got a little bit more defense off of that, which is nice. But I have plenty of runes that could accept, like this could accept an attack enchant and attack grind and a defense grind and a speed. I mean, I have so much room for improvement on these units, especially since I'm farming R4 right now, so I can get all of the enchants and grinds that I need in order to make my team ready for R5. And I'll probably just port this team over. So some of you may know previously I was using Faye for a long time. Oh no, she's unruined, yes. I was really sad to unrune Faye. However, her damage output in raid is not at all consistent. You're pretty much relying on her to land defense break in order to really see those big numbers. And for more consistent damage, I have runed up this Xiaolin. I also 6-starred her, which is probably relevant to say I've 6-starred and runed up the Xiaolin. I'm working on skilling her up currently. When I made her 6-star using 4 other Kung Fu girls and 1 Rainbow Mon, all 4 of those skill ups went into the first skill, which was very unfortunate. Even though the damage increase is nice, I do want to reduce the cooldown time on her 2nd and 3rd skill, so I am going to be getting her more skill ups in the future. Her HP is not at all amazing, but she is now on a speed crit damage attack build. This is because on an HP crit damage attack build, she doesn't move often enough to have relevant turns, meaning that she doesn't move enough to really do the damage I need her to, and it's okay for her to be squishier since I only run a single damage dealer composition currently. This is only currently because I haven't adjusted my team for second damage dealer, and so with that, I'm able to sacrifice a little bit of her HP. Now I ideally wouldn't want to, but that's just the position I'm in right now. She does, however, have more than 1,000 defense, more than 2,000 attack, and she's fast enough to go, consistently and still not outspeed my, my major healers and cleansers. As well as she does have enough crit rate to always crit with a Hua leadership skill, and I have yet to play in any public raid in R4 or R5 where there is not some sort of Hua leadership skill. So I have no issues with hitting crits every single time. Her attack bar reduction is really, really relevant. Phase second skill was irrelevant completely. Phase third skill provided no utility. And Xiaolin overall has more consistent damage, so having her in the team is really, really nice. Another unit, Colleen. My Colleen is still not 6-starred. That's something I'm working on in the future. I have plenty of units to 6-star right now. But I got her faster, I gave her a lot more HP, and I put her on a revenge set as well, so she can, hypothetically revenge and land that attack break. She's got enough accuracy for raids. Based on my research, I gave her a little bit of extra accuracy just to be safe in case. Her defense is low, but she has low base defense, and even at 6 there she has low base defense, so I put a big emphasis on giving her a lot of HP. Of course she's max skill because she's a net 2. But right now she's been working. Sometimes it gets a little bit dicey, but for the most part she can survive with Darien and Fire Panda in the front line. A unit that I want to build in the future for raids is Hua. I don't have her runed up at all, but I have quite a few Rakshasas, or 3 Rakshasas here, waiting to be used as fodder to make her into a 6-star. She'll be used in the future. And now I want to talk about the big revelation I hit when I was really farming raids and when I was really looking for inconsistencies in my teams, and that was the cleanser slot. So some of you may have remembered I used Lisa as my cleanser. I got Lisa really, or like a few months ago. It was like 3 or 4 months ago I got Lisa, and I was really, really excited. When I made her into a 6-star, all of the skill ups that I used to make her into a 6-star went into her second or third skill, and then they went into her second skill, and then subsequent skill ups went into her first skill. But I maxed her third skill, which is her cleanse, the most important one, and I've been using her in raids. The problem is her second skill is irrelevant for raids, and she really doesn't provide any form of survivability outside of this cleanse. And so what I've come to the conclusion of, and what you could really, really see when you have Lisas in the team, is she's only really there to increase the damage output and contribution of your team. So when your team's runes are set, when they're grinded, or when your rune quality is really, really high, that's when Lisa really shines. And Lisa wasn't really contributing enough to my team to make her spot really validated. And so I had this wonderful Delphi in my storage, and I got to see why Delphi has been called such an amazing unit for so long. Because since the beginning of the game, I've heard people say, "Oh, Delphi is so amazing. I love my Delphi. 6-starring Delphi was amazing," and all this sort of stuff. And I put her into my raid team, and I really see why. She's only 5-star. She's her second and first skill aren't even touched in terms of skill ups. The only thing I was worried about was her third skill, and I was able to get a skill up into it, which means I got to reduce the cooldown of her third skill. So she has the same cleanse speed as my Lisa, and in addition to that, she also heals for 20% of all of my units' max HP. So it's based on their max HP, 20% of their HP, and then gives immunity for 2 turns. So not including when the raid beast or raid boss jumps in the air and strips your units, or uses the strip attack once you've hit too many times. This is essentially a cleanse for 3 turns, rather than just a cleanse for 1. It's 3 turns worth of impact. In addition to that heal, in addition to that initial cleanse, she provides that immunity, which means your units have a less likely chance of getting stunned, which is really awesome, because if your main damage dealer gets stunned, there goes a lot of your damage contribution, If your main cleanser gets stunned, or your side cleansers get stunned, it's like, uh-oh, that's kind of scary. Healer gets stunned when you're low HP, or your attack buffer gets stunned. I think you guys get the idea. If your core units get stunned, it's not pretty for your raid team, and it makes the runs really, really dicey, really close. Sometimes you'll fail because of it. So having that extra immunity just increases the success rate of your team, decreases the likelihood of your core units being shut down, and also provides an extra heal, which is nice. It's like a side heal. And there's so much extra healing in this team that it provides a lot of consistency for itself. So we're going to go and look at that raid team in 1 minute. One thing I want to talk about while I'm still in this monster box after a stream the other day, I summoned one scroll, and I pulled a Brandia. Really, really exciting. I mean, I was really excited. It was the first time in a long time where I've yelled from excitement. I was like, oh, holy, I was really, really excited about getting the unit. And of course, it was right after the stream had ended. But I pulled a Brandia. It's funny that I've been working on raid a lot lately. She is a very relevant raid unit, and in later on raid teams and teams where you use Lisa, Brandia can really, really shine and deal a ridiculous amount of damage, upward of 100k to the raid boss. So for faster speed clears, or when you really have good enough runes and good enough grinds on those runes to output serious damage, you could actually use Brandia for that. In addition to that, my Wind Beast in the Rift of Worlds is very, very weak, having a best score of only A, and my other two beasts have S or better. I haven't touched the lighter dark ones, but having her in there is probably going to help my damage output when I worry about that later, because I spoke about this before. Every week I try to get these re-ups. I have not done them this week, but every week I try to farm and get enough of these crystals in order to get my 3 reappraisal stones, because reappraisals are huge in the game, and when you have plenty of legendary runes like I do just sitting around in your rune inventory, that can be the difference between runing up a monster really, really well, or having a crazy rune and pushing yourself into a further place in arena. So I really, really want to farm those more, and having Brandy is probably going to allow me to get better scores in the Wind Beast and make it overall less stressful. So I'm just really excited to have her. Overall damage output is cool. She's really fun for some PvE stuff. Now let's hop into the raid team, and we'll talk about that, since that's basically what I've been focusing on for the most part. Like I said, my team has been clearing R5 sometimes. I haven't tried it with the new Delphi. My team was clearing with Lisa. So this is what my team is. You can see I have 2 5-stars in the backline, which is not ideal at all. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 units that are unskilled. Fire Panda is completely unskilled. Delphi, I guess, doesn't need the skill up, so arguably only 3 units. Miyang has not enough skill. She has 2 skill ups and not in anything relevant, and you really want her 3rd skill to be maxed. Of course, the Water Kung Fu Girl needs her 2nd and 3rd skill to be maxed. And, I need 6-star Colleen and 6-star Delphi. But this team has been working really, really well. It doesn't ever die. I actually don't even lose units since I put Delphi in there. So that's this team. I'm super, super happy about this, because raid is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I'm really excited about, because it's going to make some... it's going to make a lot of impact in my teams in the future. So you can see I have some grinds and I have some enchants in some of these runes. I think the runes that I've put her on are fairly solid. I've put pretty much my best support violent runes on her. Her base defense is really good, and she's only 5-star right now. It only gets better, and her base HP is okay. I mean, it's a lot lower than I'd like it to be, but her base defense is a little bit more important, and she could potentially tank in the front line, although I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. Just because her base stats are good enough to do so. So other units, I've made, I think, small adjustments to my Bernard. Oh, my Bernard is faster. My Bernard is now plus 169, and that is because this rune that I found, I remembered I had on stream. It was a 22 speed rune. I put a purple enchant, purple grind on it, and it max rolled, so I have a 26 speed rune now, which is nice. Other than that, I have not gotten a single swift grind. Here's a list of all the grinds that I have. You guys can see all the stuff that I have. I've gotten the rage stuff, so all this stuff was grinded, or was pulled from raids. This, of course, is from the achievement of beating R5, so you guys can see that I was able to beat R5. I've got some, some despair stuff, and not a bunch of energy stuff. I have some small grinds that I still need to put on a lot of my units, so I need to do those. I have some crit rate enchants and a legendary flat defense grind, which was kind of rip. It was sad, but I might have a use for that later. So legendary defense grindstone for violent, and then I have the enchant stone you get. So I've gotten some good stuff in terms of grinds in general. Also, whenever I'm not raiding, I'm farming dragons. So I guess we'll go through some of our violent runes. For the most part, we don't have many people built on violent. We have some violent runes. I've been looking for violent runes for monsters like Miyang, although the more and more I raid, the less and less I want to put any more units on violent. Violent is kind of scary, because too many violent procs can lead your team to kill themselves. This is a rune I'm saving for Rakan, probably. I do want to build my Rakan on violent. That's going to be my next goal, probably, in terms of improving monsters for PvP specifically. I have runes like this all over the place where they have a lot of potential, and I just haven't had time to power them up because I've been focusing on other things. But yeah, runes like this, legendary runes like this that just roll really well and have potential to be grinded like crazy. I mean, speed grinds, attack grinds, HP grinds all go on here. I don't know. That's why I've been thinking about putting Mi Yang on Violent. I might do that in the future, although when it comes to switching out a unit for a damage dealer, Mi Yang would be the first unit to go in terms of sacrificing a member of the team, just because her input into the team is great, but I can survive without it, and having more damage output is useful sometimes. Although sometimes, or as long as my units don't get stunned up, or as long as my Xiaolin doesn't get stunned up, I usually have 40% or more damage output in R4. And that is raiding with Ghetto's teams. And he does have a single damage dealer team that we raid with, and a more support-based team that he raids with as well. So it's kind of surprising that with one damage dealer I can output that much damage. But that is only when my team works, perfectly, which is not always going to happen, of course. Also, speed tuning, something I don't think I talk about too much when it comes to raid. I have my Colleen go before anybody. That's not on purpose necessarily, but I do kind of like it since you get that attack buff off early usually, or worst comes to worst, you have that attack break up as soon as possible. I have no problem with having her being the fastest unit because I do want 100% uptime on this heal, or I want her to constantly be healing, constantly be attack buffing. And with the speed of her compared to the speed of Xiaolin, Xiaolin will always have an attack buff on. And mixed with Mi Yang, I mean, Mi Yang's buff extension can either pair really well with Delphi's immunity or pair really well with that attack buff from Colleen, just giving me an extra turn to eke out a little bit more damage or give me a little bit more survivability, as well as healing for about 10k with attack buff, and that's not even max skilled. And her runes still have room for plenty of improvement. Of all the units that I have, Mi Yang has the most or the largest number of substats that can be grinded. Now this rune can easily go away and be replaced by a better rune when we get one. So as soon as I have a rune to replace her Mi Yang slot 4, that's going to get upgraded because she doesn't have a lot of runes for grinds on that. Even this is probably a potential upgrade. We'll bring it to plus 12 later, and we'll see how that goes. But that's what I've been doing in Summoner's War. I've been focusing a lot on raids. I'm really, really happy to be in raids, and I'm still solidly in Dragons. A small side note, I also 6-starred the Water Ninja because I was curious about how Water Ninja works in Dragons. Here's his runes, really mediocre Fatal Blade set on speed, crit damage, attack. I was just kind of curious to see if there was anything I could potentially do to make my team faster. This was one of the combinations I tried, and I guess I'll let this run in the background, but this isn't going to work. But I was trying out a bunch of things, seeing if there's anything potentially better. The problem is the amount of attack, the sheer amount of attack bar and the amount of speed you get just from having Vertihil in your team is really, really unmatched. And even with Susanoo's really good damage output, and you could see you could see there just with the defense break he can do some really good damage with his first and second skill, and he does hit harder than a Tayor in terms of his multipliers are better and his base attack is comparable, but he doesn't provide an AoE. He doesn't provide the same amount of attack bar increase as Vertihil does, and his runes are probably just not good enough to justify this. And here's where you really see it. So the attack bar reduction is cool, but the only way this team works is if Poseidon gets his third skill off and resets the tower. And see, he uses his second skill here anyway. So it's too dicey for me. Also, we don't have any more cleanse, which means the dragon's going to hit like a truck every time he hits us. The mid-boss wave is actually scarier with this team because we don't have Veramos to potentially stun anything. We don't have Veramos to cleanse off that defense break and move in between the towers and the dragon, which was what Veramos does in my Dragons team. Now, I haven't put as much time into making this team try to force it into working, but I see no reason to try to fix my team when it really isn't broken with my Veramos team. This team barely eked it out, but you're going to see the runs actually slower than my Vero team. So probably the best improvement I can make until I pull a Shina is going to be either increasing the damage of my units or making Verd hit a lot harder, because Verd has a lot of potential to hit harder. He's on a really, really garbage Swift Blade set. So that's where I've been with PvE progression in terms of dungeons. I haven't been worried very much. I've just been farming away every single day, trying to get as much progression as I can. Now, if you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. I always read them. I always respond as often as I can. If you have any interest in joining the Cookie Club Guild, it's Cookie Space Club ! Guild. We still have openings, not too many left, but if you want to join a guild and you want to have consistent fighter one to finish, because we're not trying to finish too high, and you just want to farm and relax, that's the guild to do it in. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.